Islamic Productions.
Consider Islam disproving the patriots of propaganda. Introduction. Without Islam, submission to God, I am incapable of maneuvering through this world and all of the obstacles that it presents. I can't do it. I've tried, I have failed. The continuous return to prayer 5 times each day and the continuous remembrance of Allah, blessed and exalted is He, has been vital in my ability to cope with some exceedingly difficult events that have transpired in my life. No, I have not always lived in the obedience of Allah, but in His wisdom and mercy, He calls people back to Him through various tests and trials that have caused me to look at life with a whole new understanding. It has caused me to realize how precious time is. Time is like ice melting away. My intention for this book is to defend Islam against falsehoods and misconceptions that have been used to tarnish this way of life, which is a true source of peace and comfort for those who have humbled themselves in sincere submission to our Creator. Blessed and exalted is He. It is not my intention to offend any individual or group with anything that I say. My objective is to present information to the reader that will cause them to realize that what has been presented to them about Islam may or may not be true, as antagonists fervently and routinely make false and erroneous claims. Islam is demonized using news broadcasts, social media, movies, radio, podcasts, 30-second sound bites, and headlines, which are used to shift and shape the beliefs of the masses. Many fallacious claims are made about Islam by hate mongers who hide their hatred behind a veil of freedom of speech. This book is a defense against those who utilize valuable time and resources in order to tarnish Islam, as well as Muslims all over the world who face the unprovoked hatred daily. There are some in the world who label themselves as Muslims who have been led astray by people seeking to achieve their agendas, but those people by no means represent the true followers of Islam. I am simply asking the reader to balance the scales and to consider what is presented fairly in order to decipher for oneself what Islam is while rejecting what it is not. I'm asking people to be readers instead of repeaters by encouraging them to sincerely seek out the truth through legitimate research instead of relying upon others to feed them information. Living in the era of fake news and social media makes us all victims of mass marketing techniques that are not limited to products that are being sold. Ideologies, philosophies, religions, and politics are also being manufactured, marketed, and sold to people on a large scale. It would be naive to assume that people holding the power of persuasion are not sometimes motivated by ill intent in their motives and practices. With that in mind, I welcome the reader and I encourage you to consider Islam based on your own sincere desire for the truth. Truth is the truth even if no one believes it, and a lie is a lie even if everyone believes it. When seeking truth, we must ask ourselves, am I seeking truth or am I looking for comfort? While realizing that truth isn't always comfortable. We must face the reality that if we're simply looking for what is comfortable, we may not find the truth. Writing this book may be the most important thing I ever do in my life. Today is the most important day of our lives because yesterday has come and gone and tomorrow may never arrive. May Allah accept my efforts. Ameen. The Quran states, truth has now arrived and falsehood has perished. For falsehood, by its nature, is bound to perish. Surah Al-Isra, chapter 17, verse 81. This concludes the introduction. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace to everyone who's watching or listening. This is Kenny Bomer Live. Consider this TV where truth is made clear from falsehood. My name is Kenny Bomer. I'm the author of the book Consider Islam Disproving the Patriots of Propaganda. And before I go any further, I do want to say I bear witness there's no God other than Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his final servant and the seal of all prophets. So we're going to be having a discussion today regarding what transpired on yesterday's show. We were doing a refutation video where we were critiquing Islam Critique. We're actually responding to Islam Critique, the video that he made. And in the course of the discussion, a character came on and he had a mask on, and I didn't think anything about it with the coronavirus issue. But he was just in the chat. We weren't able to get to him to speak to him because of the conversation that was taking place. But eventually, just out of the blue, he picked up a Quran and started burning it live on the show. And so we're going to have a discussion about that today. And I've got something special planned for the end of the show. Matter of fact, here's my Bible. You can see, matter of fact, how much it's been used. The front's wearing off. I've got very highlighted and many highlights in. Alhamdulillah, we're back up and running. AT&T's messing with me today, I guess. We lost signal. We had some storms come through earlier, but it looks nice out there now. But anyway, so what I was saying is, by the end of the show, stay tuned to the end of the show. Matter of fact, share this feed, because by the end of the show, I have something very special planned for this Bible. And yeah, so we'll get into that. And this is a Muslim response. We're going to be discussing on the panel. This is the Muslim response to the Quran being burned on yesterday's show. And so we're going to get different opinions from people's reactions to that from both sides, from Christians, atheists, Muslims, whoever wants to join the panel. Feel free to click the link on YouTube or on Facebook, and we'll have a discussion regarding what has transpired on yesterday's show with the guy burning the Quran. So let me see if these brothers are. I'm going to go back to the. Bear with me one moment. We're going to allow people to come into the panel. So bear with me. We'll be back in a moment. But we're going to go ahead and play this video just briefly until we get this thing together here. Alhamdulillah. So yeah, once again, I would share the link with people. Matter of fact, if you want to come in and join the panel, join the discussion, feel free to do so. We've got something very special planned before the end of the show. And so just keep that in mind as we proceed with this conversation today in response to the guy coming on anonymously and burning the Quran on the show. So please bear with me 1 second, and we will be back in just 1 minute.
Welcome to Incognito Islamic Productions.
Consider Islam disproving the patriots of propaganda. Introduction. Without Islam, submission to God, I'm incapable of living through this world and all of the obstacles that it presents. I can't do it. I've tried. I've failed. The continuous return to prayer 5 times each day and the continuous remembrance of Allah, blessed and exalted is He, has been vital in my ability to cope with some exceedingly difficult events that have transpired in my life. No, I have not always lived in the obedience of Allah, but in His wisdom and mercy, He calls people back to Him through various tests and trials that have caused me to look at life with a whole new understanding. It has caused me to realize how precious time is. Time is like ice melting away. My intention for this book is to defend Islam against falsehoods and misconceptions that have been used to tarnish this way of life, which is a true source of peace and comfort for those who have humbled themselves in sincere submission to our Creator. Blessed and exalted is He. It is not my intention to offend any individual or group with anything that I say. My objective is to present information to the reader that will cause them to realize that what has been presented to them about Islam may or may not be true, as antagonists fervently and routinely make false and erroneous claims. Islam is demonized using news broadcasts, social media, movies, radio, podcasts, 30-second sound bites, and headlines, which are used to shift and shape the beliefs of the masses. Many fallacious claims are made about Islam by hate mongers who hide their hatred behind a veil of freedom of speech. This book is a defense against those who utilize valuable time and resources in order to tarnish Islam, as well as Muslims all over the world who face the unprovoked hatred daily. There are some in the world who label themselves as Muslims who have been led astray by people seeking to achieve their agendas, but those people by no means represent the true followers of Islam. I am simply asking the reader to balance the scales and to consider what is presented fairly in order to decipher for oneself what Islam is while rejecting what it is not. I'm asking people to be readers instead of repeaters by encouraging them to sincerely seek out the truth through legitimate research instead of relying upon others to feed them information. Living in the era of fake news and social media makes us all victims of mass marketing techniques that are not limited to products that are being sold. Ideologies, philosophies, religions, and politics are also being manufactured, marketed, and sold to people on a large scale. It would be naive to assume that people holding the power of persuasion are not sometimes motivated by ill intent in their motives and practices. With that in mind, I welcome the reader and I encourage you to consider Islam based on your own sincere desire for the truth. Truth is the truth even if no one believes it, and a lie is a lie even if everyone believes it. When seeking truth, we must ask ourselves, am I seeking truth or am I looking for comfort? While realizing that truth isn't always comfortable. We must face the reality that if we're simply looking for what is comfortable, we may not find the truth. Writing this book may be the most important thing I ever do in my life. Today is the most important day of our lives because yesterday has come and gone and tomorrow may never arrive. May Allah accept my efforts. Ameen. The Quran states, truth has now arrived and falsehood has perished. For falsehood, by its nature, is bound to perish. Surah Al-Isra, chapter 17, verse 81. This concludes the introduction. Okay, Alhamdulillah, having some technical difficulties today, but Alhamdulillah, we're back in action. So let me let Brother Marshall in. Assalamu alaikum, brother. And so once again, Assalamu alaikum. This is Kenny Bomer Live. Consider this TV where truth is made clear from falsehood. And my name is Kenny Bomer. I'm the author of the book, Consider Islam Disproving the Patriots of Propaganda. And the upcoming book, Everything is a Test, Truth is Made Clear from Falsehood. Yesterday, we had someone burn a Quran live on the show once again. And yeah, so we're going to have we're going to get some reactions from people. Matter of fact, in the chat, if you're listening in the chat on YouTube or Facebook, feel free to click on the link and join the panel if you'd like. You can engage us on the panel itself, or you're welcome to submit your questions or your comments in the chat. I'll try to monitor that as best as I can as we proceed with the conversation. But yeah, but we have something very special planned before the end of the show for this Bible. So I want you to stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. Before the end of the show, we got something special planned for that Bible. And once again, we're reacting to the guy coming on yesterday and burning the Qur'an live on the show. He came in and he was just sitting over there in the corner, nonchalant, and he had a mask on. I didn't think anything about it because of the COVID-19, the virus situation. But yeah, before you know it, he was lighting up the lighting up the Quran, burning the Quran. And I didn't notice it initially because I was in the midst of a conversation with a gentleman. And so I had no idea that he was actually burning the Quran. It took me a minute to notice that. But yeah, so he burned the Quran. So this is a reaction video. So I'm very interested in what Christians have to say about this, as well as Muslims. Very interested in what Muslims have to say about the matter. And before the end of the show, I have something special planned for the Bible. So it seems that the brothers are coming in. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Jonathan.
Wa alaikum assalam, brother.
Wa alaikum salam, brothers.
Ramadan Mubarak to everyone listening, as a matter of fact. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Kareem.
Ramadan Kareem.
Okay, so is the audio coming through fine? I was having
you just fine, Aki.
Okay, what about the video? Was it playing at the beginning of the show, or
yes.
Was it not playing? Okay, so at some point along the way, I lost my internet connection somehow. AT&T sometimes does that where I'm at. Matter of fact, it's the only internet service provider for this particular location that I'm at. I can't get any different provider here, so I would love to get a different provider, but I can't. So AT&T messes with me sometimes. But alhamdulillah, once again, this is a reaction discussion to what transpired on the show yesterday with the guy burning the Quran. And I have something special planned for the Bible before the end of the show. And hey, can you bring me that light over there? Thank you. Anyway, so yeah, so we got something special planned for before the end of the show. So be sure to share the link, and you know, we'll proceed from here. So, brothers, what do you think about what transpired yesterday? Brother Kareem, what's your opinion on the matter?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Peace to you, brothers here. I'm happy to be broadcasting with you about this very important issue. I can see it's already started up a stir on the internet, and we've seen double the amount of views. I think the best way to start it off is to actually play the clip for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, and then we can kind of get a real-time reaction if you want to, or we can wait until more people come in. But it's really a tremendous sign for people who have eyes to see what are the results of people inciting hate towards Islam and Muslims. That's the beginning of what we have to say about that, but I'm sure there's more to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Brother Marshall, what do you have to say about this? I want to get everyone's response initially. We have other people that are going to be joining the panel as well. But what do you think about what transpired yesterday? I know you had left. I'm sure you went to break fast or something, but you wasn't on the show when it happened initially. But what do you think about what transpired yesterday?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First, I testify, Ashallah illallah, Ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah. Testify, bear witness, none is worship but Allah. Testify, bear witness, that Muhammad is a messenger. What I've seen from it is really just, if someone calls himself a Christian and follows the Bible and the teaching of Jesus, this action is just disgusting. I mean, like I always tell people, Jesus, the Bible will be very disappointed in you. I mean, I think more that he came to irritate us, came to, try to make us mad. You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't understand that you can destroy every single Quran that's existed, and we got millions and millions of Muslims young as the age of 6 that can rewrite it word for word. You know, and from what I've seen online on my Facebook account, a lot of Christians are condoning it. You know, true Christians. You know, so you know, it just shows. You know, it just shows.
Did you say they're condoning it or they're condemning it?
Condemning it. My bad. They're like, they're like, you know what I'm saying? This guy, you know, what's wrong with this guy? You know, and he's a horrible Christian, and I got a feeling he's one of the rascals from Global Patriot Radio, which is actually listed as a hate group from in the Southern Poverty Law channel. So you know,
alhamdulillah. So I see Brother Mustafa joined the panel. He was actually the one that notified me that the guy was burning the Quran. I didn't notice because I was in the conversation. I wasn't actually looking at the screen. I was thinking about what was being said. I wasn't paying attention. And Brother Mustafa brought it to my attention. So, assalamu alaikum, Brother Mustafa. What's your reaction initially? We're actually going to do what Brother Kareem said here in a moment, and we're going to play live. Matter of fact, you can find it on YouTube on Kenny Bomer Live. Consider this TV. You can find it there. But we're going to play it live here in a moment, just to for anyone who hasn't seen it. And
Assalamu alaikum.
Go ahead. So what do you have to say about what transpired?
My brothers on the panel.
Go ahead.
Like I said, brother, subhanallah. Can you hear me, brother? Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I spoke to you about this morning.
Yeah.
I'm not. Let's just say I'm not upset. I'm disappointed by seeing this from a fellow Christian. This is what disappoints me, because like Brother Michael said, and yourself and Brother Kareem and others, and we all know that no matter what they do, they can try burning as much as they want, but they cannot take the Quran away from us, because those pages that he burned, I'm very sure Brother Kareem's probably memorized it all, and I may have memorized, you may have memorized, brothers here may have memorized those verses. So it really wouldn't matter whether he burns those papers or not. But the sheer attitude, that disgusting way of him portraying himself by thinking, you know what, I'm just gonna tick them off. I'm gonna burn the Quran and I'm gonna get them to go on fire. But it really didn't make us like go on fire. What we did, we were condemning the action, but the fellow Christians that were in the room, they never condemned it. Never condemned it. They were too busy, like Danny Davis and the other guy I was talking to, speaking to, I think Jay was there. Was it Jay who was he was like okay with it. He's like, don't change the subject.
Yeah.
So someone like Jay, who's supposed to be representing Christianity, he was telling me when I said this is what's happening, he's like, oh, don't change the subject.
Yeah, and that's what was shocking to me, is that he said he didn't want to change the subject when we just witnessed the Quran being burned live on the show. And the guy came in, he had the mask on. I didn't think anything about it. I've seen him come in with the mask on. I've seen, obviously, in the last few weeks, we've seen many people with masks on. So I didn't think anything about it. I thought it was a little odd that he would be in his house with his mask on. But I was engaged in the conversation. I didn't notice it. Matter of fact, we're going to play the clip. Let's play the clip right now. That way, other people who haven't seen it, they'll get an understanding about what it is that we're talking about here. So bear with me just 1 second. I'm going to remove everyone just briefly from the panel and to make room for. Bear with me 1 second. And before the end of the show, I have something special planned for the Bible. And so stay tuned for that, and we'll get to that as time permits. But let's go to this video from yesterday and proceed from there. Okay, so here we go. So what is your objection, Faith?
Okay, I'm going to explain it as clearly as I can. The way Maududi interprets this passage, what it's saying is this: the people of the book need to accept the messenger if what he says confirms the scripture. If the scripture is lost, as you say it is, right? If the scripture is corrupt, if they don't have it anymore, then they cannot know whether the messenger confirms the scripture. That's the objection. Does it make sense, Kenny?
It makes sense, but I think you're conflating a couple of different issues here. Okay, for one, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the Quran is coming to confirm what Allah originally revealed through the Torah and the Injil. Okay, unfortunately, it has been tampered with. I mean, scholarship proves that it's been tampered with. So,
But that's not what the Quran says.
what the Quran is referring to what was originally given to these people, and that's not including what's been tampered with. So it's obviously the messenger of our Creator.
What is what he's doing?
Totally different.
Can you see what this Christian is doing? Burning the Quran in front of you.
He's
burning the Quran.
Oh wow! Look, this is
recorded, right?
This is what
this is burning the Quran. Look at that. This is recorded, guys. This is a live recording now. Look, he's burning the Quran.
Right.
So this is your this is your Christian friends doing that. Wow. I didn't say Kenny burn a Bible.
Don't change the topic. Don't change the topic. Kenny was making a point. I don't care what you have to say because you're just a rude. You're just a rude windbag. I'd rather listen to Kenny.
So let me bring everyone back in, and we'll proceed. So, did the video play through? Could you hear the video?
Loud and clear.
Okay, great.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Okay, all right. So for everyone who didn't know what transpired yesterday, that's what took place, and it's mind-boggling. To me, it's a sign of someone who's mentally deranged, right? This is the type of person in my mind that is one that would be prone to go into a movie theater and shoot everybody up, or go into a nightclub and commit mass murder, go into a school and commit mass murder. I mean, the thing is, it's someone who's unsuspecting, that is just a part of the crowd that you don't anticipate is going to do anything outrageous like that, and then out of the blue, something just so mind-boggling, startling. Transpires like that. The forethought that had to be placed into that is just it's the sign of someone who's mentally deranged, someone who's got a mental illness of some kind. Let me backtrack, or it may just be simply mental illness nonetheless, or just some type of deep-rooted prejudice, hatred, bigotry that's been planted within them against Islam. Okay, so I equate that to mental illness. That's not a justification for the action by no means, but we have to question ourselves and say, why is it that I've developed this hatred about Islam? I've written 15 chapters in my book on the topic, talking about the propaganda that's used to attack Islam day in, day out. I'm actually attacked personally on a day in, day out basis all day long. Okay, it requires a lot of patience. And sometimes, guess what? Sometimes, I'm not making a blanket statement against all Christians by no means. So please don't take what I'm about to say as this. But Allah warns us in the Quran about taking other people of other faiths as close friends and confidants, because the reality is that when they get amongst themselves, they're liable to betray you. Okay, and so I'm bringing this up because a certain individual that I had been dealing with for about 3 years at this point, a Christian guy that I was developing, had love for him, but I noticed when he didn't know that I was watching online, he was making comments that were so Islamophobic, but he doesn't perceive it that way. He doesn't perceive it that way because these seeds of prejudice and bigotry and Islamophobia and anti-Muslimness, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the Antichrist that, and Islam is of Satan, and the Quran is a book of Satan. All these seeds are just planted over and over and over again. That's how propaganda works. Okay, I've written 15 chapters about it. Once again, I encourage you, listen. Buy the book, read the book. Matter of fact, if you want the book for free, contact me, info@kennybomer.com. If you're a non-Muslim, I will send you the book for free, inshallah. That's how serious I'm about this. That's why I took time to write the book and address this issue, because I see it. If I take this kufi off my head, I'm just another white guy in the crowd. And as another white guy in the crowd, I hear all kinds of things when they don't know that I'm a Muslim. Okay, so that's the facts. Okay, so anyways, brothers, what's your response after seeing this video again? Go ahead. Anyone who wants to speak up, go ahead.
If I may.
Yes, go ahead, Jonathan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Basically, like, it really goes back to a simple case of someone or something telling this person that that's acceptable behavior.
Yeah.
And once we can, well, not saying we should, but once it is determined who and or what told him that that was acceptable to do, then I think we'll get to the root of the problem itself.
Well, what's interesting is you bring that up is, you know, who told him, who influenced that? For one, it starts at the top. It starts with a man such as Donald J. Trump, and I've got some quotes in my book that are very Islamophobic, no question about it, that lead people to believe that they're operating under a sense of patriotism. They believe, you know, the sense of patriotism is when, you know, these are campaign and agendas that have a purpose behind them, and what they need to do to make these agendas work is to have a common enemy. So they create a common enemy, and then they instill a sense of patriotism in the people and make the people believe that they're all fighting for one just cause. And so now they believe that God and country is on their side, and they believe their actions and their hatred and their bias is justified by that. And then they see the preacher at the church, and he's going out and making a mockery of the Quran by burning the Quran, right? And so, you know, we see these things happen over and over and over again. And, you know, so, you know, before the end of the show, I have something special planned for my Bible. And I've used this Bible quite a bit, and I've got something special planned for it. So stay tuned for that, and we'll proceed with that as the show goes on. But I would like to get some responses from other people who've seen the show yesterday or have seen the clip that we presented today. If you haven't seen it, you're wondering, take time out to go on to YouTube and watch it. You can just look it up on Kenny Bomer Live, Consider This TV. You can watch the clip if you haven't seen it, and you'll understand what it is that we're talking about. And so let's, I see we have Jay. He was actually part of the discussion yesterday, so I want to bring him on. He's a Christian guy, and let's see what he has to say about what transpired yesterday. Okay, Jay, go ahead. You may have to unmute yourself there. Are you there, Jay? It says I can't unmute the guest because he's got himself muted.
Oh,
So,
okay. Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, first I just wanted to clarify that I was being accused that was me saying let's change the topic and stuff. That wasn't me. Hopefully you can distinguish my voice from the other guy who was speaking.
Yeah, that wasn't him. Definitely wasn't you.
Thank you.
Who said? Yeah, no, I know who it was. It was the guy that I was engaged with.
No, I said it because I was told that was him. But Jay, I apologize. I thought it was you, but I apologize.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Also, yeah, Mustafa Ahmed asked me to come in here, and he wanted to challenge me on Isaiah 53. He said if I knew Hebrew.
Okay. Well, yeah. Before we get into Isaiah 53, what's your reaction? Did you see what transpired yesterday live on the show?
Yeah, I saw the clip. I saw what happened.
Okay, what's your opinion? It seems like you're already trying to divert, not address the issue. I find that a bit peculiar.
I'm not trying to divert. He just invited me on. He invited me on for. Right. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sure you've been listening to the conversation from the beginning. So as soon as I seen you responding in the chat, as a matter of fact. So, but I mentioned that I wanted to have people come on to give their reaction to what transpired yesterday. You want to go Isaiah 53, and so what do you think about what happened yesterday?
Yeah, so the reason why I brought up Isaiah 53 is because that's what he was talking to me about in the chat. Like, you know, if you've been you said you've been reading it, so that's what he challenged me on. My thoughts on what happened. I mean, yeah, I mean, I saw the guy. He came on. He burned some pages in the Quran, and I mean, it's not something that I would do, but I want to know. Do you have a problem with burning the Quran?
Well, see, now this is the interesting question. No,
Okay.
I don't have a problem with burning the Quran if the Quran needs to be disposed of for some reason.
Okay.
Obviously, we know that in the history of Islam, burning the Quran to dispose of a Quran is the means to do it. So I don't have a problem with the Muslims doing it. Okay. But
do you know if that guy was a Muslim or not? I mean,
do I know if he was Muslim or not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You said you didn't see his face or anything?
Okay, Jay. Now this is let's not be silly. Let's not be silly. Okay, so no Muslim in their right mind is going to come on to a show like this where amongst a group of Muslims and start burning the Quran. A Muslim would have no reason to burn the Quran. A hate monger, someone who's prejudiced.
You just said that's the way to dispose of the Quran, though.
Someone who is an Islamophobe would indeed come on and burn the Quran.
Okay.
So it seems like, I noticed that you said, "Oh yeah, I seen what he did. I wouldn't do it." But okay, well, it sounds like that you're not really have, maybe I'm reading into it something that's not, but it seems like by you using the word "but," you're implying that you don't really have that big of an issue with him burning the Quran. Is that what you're telling us?
I mean, it's not like if that's what I don't know why he did it, right? Like you said, he could have been a Muslim, okay, maybe not. He could have been disposing of the Quran, like you said.
Have the freedom, so just burn Quran, offend people if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. So for me, like I said, the reason why I came on was because he invited me to do the Isaiah 53 thing. Okay, I'm not really.
Okay, so watch out quickly you get removed from the panel.
Okay, Kenny, let me have a word now, brother Kenny. Let me have a word. Kenny. If you move him out, let me say, look, Jay. I don't know if you probably kicked him out.
Yeah, he's got to go.
Yes, brother.
Yeah.
Off the Blackistan.
Yeah.
Brother, I just want to make one thing clear, brother, before you say. I didn't invite him. Yeah, I tell you one thing. I spoke to Brother Kenny this morning. We had a conversation with Brother Kenny, and I said the topic is about hate mongers and about we need to discuss how their hatred is. Anyone comes with a different topic, we're not going to entertain it. You can go through the whole chat now, Kenny, Brother Kareem, Brother Marshall. I've not told him come on here and debate Isaiah 53. He lied. That's number one. He lied. Secondly, when you said, Brother Kenny, well, we do ban the Quran because we need to dispose it. He tried to divert it by saying, well, maybe he's a Muslim and you try to do it. He's still not condemning the action of what happened. Now, and then he says, I've just been invited by Mustafa for Isaiah 53. When did I invite you? Show it to me. It just shows you lied twice now. And what I said on here, my brothers, I'm not going to divert the topic. I said, Jay, you want to discuss Isaiah 53? I spoke to one of my friends. One of my friend's father is a rabbi. He's a Jew. Yeah, it's ironic for a Muslim to have a Jewish friend. I have a Jewish friend. His father's a rabbi. I spoke to his father and I said, a Christian who's claiming he knows Isaiah 53, what did he say to me first thing? He said, son, that's how he speaks to me, like he treats me like his own son. I don't have a problem. He said, son, tell the Christian guy, does he know how to speak or read in Hebrew? If he does, I will personally come and have a discussion with him on that. And I said, fine. So that's what I said. Do you know how to speak or read in Hebrew? Because I don't, but he does. That's what I said. So if he doesn't know how to speak, who's going to take a topic when a rabbi is going to take it on? The scholar of the Bible is going to take it on. So Jay has to prove it to us that he is qualified in Hebrew. Now, if he wants to debate my friend's father or just have a discussion who's a qualified rabbi, he needs to know what he's talking about. So he can't just say, well, I'm reading around the text what he said. He needs to prove it to us. So I'm going to give him a few verses, and he has to read it word for word in Hebrew with a good, flow. Not to go to Bible Hub or something and read a transliteration or something. No, a flow. Do you know what I mean? Like the way we read the Quran, when we would read like Bismillah, Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. we go with the flow the way we do it, not just to. So yeah, he's saying I'll accept the debate with the rabbi. So you have to first prove it. You know what I mean? So Jay, when we do that session next, you can prove it. For now, the session is about hate mongers.
So right. So let's clarify, Brother Mustafa. You did not challenge him to come on today to discuss Isaiah 53, right? Brother.
No. Of course not. There's nothing on there.
Yeah. I just wanted everyone to be clear on that. Jay come into the room and sidestep the Quran being burned yesterday. Sidestep that, and it sounded like he was trying to make excuses with using the word "but." Either you're against something or you're not. You can't play both sides of the fence. Have you ever sat on a fence, Jay? A cyclone fence, for instance? It's a bit uncomfortable. So you can't play both sides of the fence. Either you condemn what transpired yesterday, or you condone it. It can't be both ways, Jay. And so you came on and you lied, and so you got sent to Blochistan. Alhamdulillah. Okay. So I can't stress enough that before the end of the show, I have something very, very, very special planned for this Bible that I've had for a great number of years at this point. So yeah, I've got something very special planned for this Bible. And this topic is this discussion today is Muslim reaction to the Quran being burned, obviously live on the show yesterday. So, Brother Kareem, what do you have to say about what just transpired with Jay coming in and lying as he did? You there, brother? Let me unmute him. Okay, go ahead, brother.
Okay, sorry about that. I was muted. I wish the brother would have addressed the issue. It's okay to bring other questions, of course, that's what we're here for. But we want to take at least a good hour, broadcast this, cut it off as a episode in and of itself, because this is a big issue. The issue is how the hate speech and the misinformative videos that we find on the internet translate to people's actions. Now, if you looked on the internet for how many Muslims are coming on debate platforms and burning Bibles, you will be hard pressed to find any.
Yeah, I've personally, I've never seen such a thing. If there's anything like that out there, I've never seen it. But alhamdulillah, I've never seen such a thing. So I want to invite one person in particular. I want to invite a certain person onto the panel. A.K. Manning, come onto the panel. Let's have a discussion, because what A.K. Manning's done today in regards to this, and I bring this up because this is a kind of on a personal level, but it's deeper than that, because what I find happening all too often are Christians that are siding with atheists to attack Islam. It's just relentless attacks against Islam, and then they try to make the claim that we're playing the victim. Well, imagine for a moment, if you would.
What?
If you imagine for a moment, if you would, the Native Americans in the the Native Americans, and the genocide that was committed against them. If they were to speak out against that, if they were to fight against that in whatever way, just verbally or physically or whatever, would they be playing a victim card, or are they standing up for an injustice? Okay, so apply that to the Islamophobia that's in the world. When you go to the television and the TV, the news broadcasts, the headlines, anytime a mass killing is committed, the person who committed, if they're Caucasian, they have a mental illness, but if it's someone of a dark skin, they're a terrorist, okay? And their religion is brought up, and blanket statements are made. So is that playing a victim card? Let's take it to the African Americans being in the slavery that existed, and then not only that, but still fighting for civil rights in the 1960s. That's not that long ago, people. Okay, so Malcolm X, alhamdulillah, Muslim brother, Martin Luther King, these people, the Black Panthers, are they playing the victim card when they stand up against an injustice that's been enacted against them? Absolutely not. So if I use the word Islamophobe, I'm doing so because
Brother Kenny, let me say
Go ahead,
one
brother.
thing when you're done.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Oh, well, just stress the point.
Brother, I cut you off.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well,
You can go ahead.
that popped in my mind, and I wanted to say it before
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
you got done. But you can go ahead and continue. Okay.
Okay. Well,
Here.
go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kareem.
You can hear me?
Yes. Yes, brother. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not hearing you too well. Listen, if you can hear me,
Yes.
this is the issue. We want to get some reaction to what happened because this is the evidence that extremism on both sides. Now, I want to address one thing really quickly and clearly before you continue. People in the chat are saying that, how do you know this wasn't a Muslim? In fact, Jay said the very same thing. I'm not sure if he was kidding. I hope he was kidding, because if your logic cannot tell the difference in the context of a situation, whether that's a Muslim, no Muslim in their right mind will come to a Muslim Christian debate show and start burning a Quran in front of the camera to dispose of it. That just doesn't make sense. So I'm scared for that brother Jay. He seemed intelligent in the beginning, but if you cannot tell the context, and maybe he was cheek and tongue with that comment, but if he's serious that that could have been a Muslim, then I'm not sure if he should return as a panelist. We want serious people.
Well,
You can have fun, but this is a situation, and it's clear that that wasn't a Muslim. That was an extremist Christian, and not all Christians are like that, of course, as we know. However, this is the result of some who spread hate about Islam on the internet. This is a clear example.
Yeah.
Can I speak real quick, Kenny?
Go ahead, brother.
Okay. Anybody that asked that question, how you know it was not a Muslim, or how you know it was a Christian, you know right then what his intentions are. He come to muddy the water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He knows the subject title, and then he comes in and lies, and he wants to debate about Isaiah 53, which been going around on Facebook how we destroyed that one caller that came in and tried to say that it was Jesus the Messiah. But anyways, let me do reverse real quick. Okay, say if we Muslims went on to a Christian show, right? And we were sitting there, all of a sudden we started burning the Bible. Okay? And they start complaining about it, they start saying stuff about it, and we say, oh, you're playing the victim card. How would a Christian feel if a Muslim sitting there burning a Bible, saying right in front of them? You know what I'm saying? So, it's simple. Like, I personally think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. This is the guy who probably one of Elk Smith and Robert Wells and Sam Shimon, I'm talking about Global Patriot Radio, one of them guys to come on. What they did is they tried to come on the show, burn the Quran, make us lose our temple, and start screaming and hollering like they do when they come on the show. I'm not talking about all the people, but like how, you seen how, like, okay, for example, you see how Chris Claus tried to come on our show and he acts all respectful and polite, and Sam Shimon all polite. But then when you go on their show, and like Robert Wells came on the show nice and polite, when you go on their show, they just act so disrespectful, so just vulgar, just you know what I'm saying? And and to me, if I was a Christian, I'd be ashamed of them the way, you know what I'm saying? But that's just me. But I've seen a lot of comments, even on, I'm talking about when I was posting in groups about it and stuff. The Christians are like that's just wrong. That's just disrespectful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Alhamdulillah. The thing is, in regards to, how dare you make a claim that this might have been a Muslim doing this? I mean, it's just completely absurd. But let's analyze the word phobia and Islamophobia for a moment. What is a phobia? It's an irrational fear and aversion to something, right? And so, let's be honest. You qualify as an Islamophobe if you fear that Muslims are trying to implement Sharia. Okay, well, guess what? Sharia is already here for Muslims. Sharia is following the speed limit and going to prayer and taking care of our family and following the laws of the land, treating people with kindness, standing up for injustice, feeding the homeless, sheltering those who are homeless. That's Sharia. It's already here. Surprise. Guess what? It's already here, but you're afraid that it's coming to take over your way of life. Well, this is our way of life. I'm a Muslim. I live in Houston, Texas. I've been a Muslim 32 years. Brother Kareem is in Pennsylvania. He's a revert to Islam. Brother Marshall's a revert to Islam. Brother Jonathan is right here in Houston area with me. He's a revert to Islam. We're already here. Guess Islam, the fastest growing religion in every country throughout the world. Islam is already here, and Muslims are following Sharia. Guess what? The 10 Commandments qualify as the Sharia. You realize this. So, in regards to this whole Quran burning issue, I'd like to invite A.K. Manning on once again to come onto the panel. He seems to want to side with an atheist earlier today in a Facebook group and his antagonism against me in particular. So we can discuss that. But I'd like to hear from him in particular because I've known him for so long and see what he has to say about what transpired yesterday. So if you're listening right now via YouTube or Facebook, click on the link, join the panel, and let's hear your opinion. Because so far, either the Christians are unwilling to come on and stand up against and condemn what transpired yesterday. So far, obviously, Marshall said he's seen some people condemning it. I've seen a couple of comments, but is no one willing to come on and condemn this action wholeheartly? Jay came on. Jay came on. Bear with me. Jay came on briefly, and in one side of his mouth he was trying to condemn it, and then the other side of his mouth he seemed to be supporting it. Okay, so I'm interested in what not only what Muslims have to say about this, but what do Christians have to say about it? What do atheists have to say about it? And why is it someone would be driven to have to pre-plan such a thing? I doubt very seriously that he just did this spontaneously. So I believe that he did it. It was pre-planned, premeditated, and he come on and he did what he did. So alhamdulillah. Brother Kareem, was you gonna? Brother Marshall, go ahead. Whoever was fixing to speak, go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I wanna say something. Can I be heard?
Yes.
We have about 21 people watching on Kenny Bomer Live. So we need to get some people in here to give the other side of true Christianity. We know that Christians are mentioned in the Quran in a way that may seem as a criticism in terms of theological beliefs, but also in a way that is praiseworthy for those who are true and trying to do their best in terms of worshiping God. So we need them to come and give us the other side of this narrative, because all we have in front of us is a video of someone burning a Quran yesterday, and we have to ask why. If Muslims are the ones who are in a cult, as they call it, and in some type of box where we cannot think for ourselves and we only hate, then why is it that you cannot find on the internet Muslims burning random Bibles on different debate platforms, doing the likes of that? But we have a clear example of that now. Again, we're not throwing that on Christianity, but we're going to take this serious as an example how the information, when it is misinterpreted and when it is purposely taken out of context, it causes hate to manifest on the hands of people. It's not just words anymore. People are taking their hate out on things, burning Qur'ans first, and then maybe burning Muslims later. Allahu A'lam. We need some Christians to come and help us understand this, and we know that you're out there, so come into the room and take part in this discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember I was going to say, Kenny. I was gonna screenshot all the comments, but I didn't want to color over log out the names. Of course, I didn't want to put the person's name on there, without the permission. Screenshot the comments, but then I didn't want to black out the name, because somebody would be like, oh, that's just a fake screenshot, this and that, So, but yeah, they were really talking bad about it. Talking about how disrespectful it was, and this and that, and any Christian that got any kind of morale, would say going on a Muslim show, premeditated, and burning a Quran is just simply disgusting and just vulgar. You know, I can't even put in words. To me, did it make me upset? For a second, not really, because I know they can burn all the Qurans in the world, and we got Muslims as young as 5 and 6 that know by heart. You know, he better, man, he better take a shahada, and he better, man, ask for forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because on Judgment Day, woo, that boy's in trouble.
Absolutely, I totally agree. So yeah, in regards to the Quran being reproduced, listen. Let's be honest. It can be done in just a matter of hours if Muslims got together and just they can pin it in a matter of hours. Alhamdulillah. And we can't say that, you know, this Bible that I have behind me, that I have something very special planned before the end of the show. This Bible, matter of fact, it's just one version of the Bible. This is King James, but it can't be reproduced. If there's any Christian out there that has memorized the entire Bible, whichever version, I'm not trying to be rude by saying this, but I'm just trying to make a point that no other book can be reproduced. The Quran can be reproduced literally in just a matter of time. And so, he never did burn. He never even burned the Quran, to be honest. He burned some paper and ink. But stay tuned. I've got something special planned for this Bible before the end of the show, and I've had this Bible for a great many years at this point. And so we'll proceed from there. Was you gonna say something, Marshall?
But Brother Kenny, can I say something about the Bible that you have behind you?
Yes, go ahead. What'd you say, brother?
Who, me or Marshall?
No, you, Kareem. What did you say? You said, could you say something about what?
Okay, I want to say something about the Bible you have. I see you have a Bible behind you. You have a thing that looks like a lighter behind you. So I want to just make it clear that, you know, for a Muslim, you know, when we look at that book and the lighter there behind you, we have to remember, Brother Kenny, and I'm not sure what you intend, but as you know more than me, even you wrote the book on how Muslim and Christian relations should be, but how it is also in reality. We look at that book and we see it as the formal revelation of God. We see it as a book to be recited. Yes, everything shouldn't be summit because the newest revelation, the final revelation has come. So I want to pay my respects to that. I'm not sure what you intend. However, I just want to make it known that that's how we feel towards the Bible. Now, we need some Christians to come in here and make it clear how they feel towards people burning the Quran, not because of religious freedom, but because they want to incite hate. Is that something that is a trend that they see also? Are we crazy, or is this something that we're seeing now in reality? The translation of attacks on Islam in YouTube and in different platforms now translating upon the hands of people in burning Quran, and who knows what's next.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, if someone's willing to go to that level, obviously there must be some type of a deep-rooted hatred that's residing in the heart and the mind of that person. So what's next? Is that the same person that will attack our Muslim sisters when they're walking down the street in the hijab? Is that the type of person that will, grab a weapon and go to a masjid and shoot everybody up? Matter of fact, just yesterday morning, I meant to mention this during the show yesterday, but I seen that yesterday in the news yesterday, there was 2 masjids that were vandalized yesterday. There was two vandalized. Have any of you heard about that? You did hear about that? Marshall, did you hear about it?
No.
Oh no, you saying you didn't hear about it? Okay, I seen it, and I meant to make a point about it. I wanted to share the link, and I forgot to do so yesterday. I'd have to find it. Maybe I'll do it in tomorrow's show, inshallah.
And Brother Kenny, what's interesting is that even here where I am, our masjid had been in the past, rocks have been thrown through the windows. Things like this occur on a weekly, monthly basis. But now we have to really analyze how the media throws the blame upon Muslims, and it's the Muslims who are taking religion too far. However, when translation comes in terms of violence, we see it always enacted towards Muslims, at least here in these Western nations. Now, we're not blaming all people, but we have to understand that the way that people are addressing their issues with Islam is not correct, and it is inciting violence that is now escalating.
That's right. That's right. Malcolm X said, there's a quote in my book that I mentioned, and he says that if you're not careful, the news media will have you hating or loving the oppressors and hating. Bear with me. It will have you hating the ones being oppressed and loving the ones doing the oppressing, or something similar to that. I don't remember the quote, but if you put that in context, the ones being attacked, the ones that they're claiming are playing the victim card, are the victims. But the victims are made to be the enemy. The victims are made to look like they're the bad guys. And we see this. Listen, people, I've studied this and researched this issue about propaganda and the way it's been used throughout history, and it's nothing new. What's transpired, you'll find this in the book. You'll see that these campaigns of propaganda have been studied and analyzed, and they've been perfected. We live in the day of modern technology where propaganda is propagated on a much quicker level, much faster. Okay, and so people are being fed over and over and over and over again with nonsense. Okay, if you sit and eat a bunch of ice cream over and over and over again, it's not gonna be good for you. And the same thing applies to something that you're given mentally. If it's something that's going to cause any type of hatred, any type of division, any type of bias, any type of bigotry, then that's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for anyone in society. And it's certainly not healthy for the ones that are actually the victims that are being blamed for their own atrocities, such as what Jay tried to do today by trying to say, oh, it was probably just, maybe it was I don't know what he was thinking, but maybe it was just a Muslim stunt. Maybe it was a Muslim doing that. Maybe it was are you kidding me? I mean, come on. I mean, use a little bit of logic and reason. Use, common sense. It would make no sense for Muslims to do such a thing. And I just find that utterly disgusting. Jonathan, what do you think about all this?
Well, I mean, I've been a Muslim for many years like you, Brother Kenny. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is hardly the first sign of difficulty when it's come to, I hate to say it or describe it this way, but religious extremism from other groups of people. I mean, there was a few years ago, maybe longer. I'm sure you and everybody else saw this because this made the NBC nightly news. And God knows it made its way to social media too. There was a pastor in Florida that openly in front of his congregation outside burned the Qur'an.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I mean, a lot of that, I mean, we as converts or reverts to Islam in the West, I mean, we really have to grow thick skin and just roll our eyes at a lot of it. Yeah, it bothers us, but we're not really allowed to we don't really have much of a voice to speak up because, there's so much support for them to continue the ignorant behavior. Okay. It's an unfortunate situation, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaches us in the Quran and the Hadith to argue with people like that in a way which is better. It doesn't mean we have to burn the Bible or burn the Torah or whatever, or in some instances the Vedas. It just means we have to let people be people at the end of the day because we don't know where they're at in their walk. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them hidayah one day, inshallah.
Yeah. Brother, you being Caucasian as well.
Well, I'm a mestizo, actually. I'm mixed.
You mixed, alhamdulillah. Well, you look whiter than I do. Maybe not.
Well, you haven't seen me with long hair. My hair goes into dreadlocks when it gets too long. Trust me.
Well, what is you live in the same area that I do, and I hear things that's like this kufi on my head. I hear all kinds of shenanigans, all kind of nonsense that is often not said in the midst of people of color and people. And I'm not trying to say it's all white people either. I'm not, because this Islamophobia runs deeper than that. It's not just Caucasian, so I'm not trying to imply that. But what's your, being from Texas, and or I don't know if you're from Texas, but you live in Texas for a while. What's
West
your
Indian. That's okay.
Yeah. So what's your what's your personal experience on the matter? I mean, do you see much of it yourself, or what's your stance?
Well, I do, but understand something too. I work with hospital professionals.
Yeah.
All right, that come from all over
Sure,
the world
sure.
to the Texas Medical Center to get treatments, to get this, to get that. I work with people that are from Jordan. I work with people that are from Asia. And so much, you have to conduct yourself on a professional basis with all that. Yeah, they know that I'm Islamic and everything, or practice Islam, what have you, but they really don't care as long as I'm giving the patient and performing I'm not derelict in my duties as a medical professional.
Yeah.
None of that really makes a difference, really.
Yeah.
But I mean, I went through a tremendous amount as a 15-year-old Muslim in my high school. I went through a tremendous amount of turmoil. I mean, I was actually followed home off the bus by some members of Youth Alive, and they took my Qur'an and then they threw it down, and it was 6 of them. And they started throwing rocks at me. It was a modern day stoning.
Wow.
And I ended up in the hospital because one of them had a big enough rock and it hit me in the head and it gave me a concussion.
Yeah.
And that was when I was 16.
What were they saying in the process of throwing the rocks at you? Were they? I mean, what kind
that you're a traitor to the white race. What are you doing? You're not one of them. Drop the act.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on and tell you, but it's pretty disgusting verbiage.
Yeah, sure. No, I understand.
I mean, you got teenagers that are taught that it's okay to throw rocks at people simply because they believe differently than you. Then you can only imagine what was coming out of their mouths.
Well, yeah, and where does that come from? Like someone brought up, I guess it was you that brought it up earlier, I think. Where does it stem from? It starts from the leadership down. These people, these kids that were doing this, where do they get this ideology from? They got it from their parents.
It all starts at home.
Yeah,
it really does. It has to, because I mean, someone has to tell somebody that behavior is okay to do, and it's not just that it starts at home. It's reinforced or it's recorrected in social settings later on. But when you're dealing with people that are in places like, Brazoria County, small town USA, I'm sorry, you're going to be dealing with a lot of that.
Yeah.
You really are. And it's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's why, I make dua and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give them hidayah, because, they don't understand that they're going to have children one day too.
Yeah.
And if they're going to pass that on, then guess what? You're liable to have some very, very serious problems. You're not going to have tolerance. You're not going to have love. You're not going to have understanding.
Yeah.
I
don't know if you remember, but in 2016, I tried to open a masjid in downtown Angleton, right there in Brazoria County. And
Josh Rice was your attorney, correct?
Josh Rice was my roommate at the time, and it was his dad's law building that we were going to use not the law building itself, but some property that he had right there in downtown Angleton. And so the objective was to open a masjid there, and we started the Brazosport Islamic Society there, right? And it was Jummah. It was on a Friday, first Jummah that was going to have there, and there was an article that was written in the facts about it. And when the article came out that Friday, here come the calls. And because of the Islamophobia that was running rampant in society, let's just say that we didn't have Jummah there that day. We had to go elsewhere, and we never did open that masjid at that location. We had to do something different. And so I bring this up because that's just personal experiences that we even as Caucasian people that that don't look stereotypical, like a stereotypical Muslim from overseas somewhere. We still see it. Don't pretend that we don't. We still see it. Matter of fact, I mentioned this in the book about this Johnny Jihad mentality that they think that we have. They think that we've been brainwashed. Just today, A.K. Manning, I know he's still listening, made comments saying that Islam ruined me somehow because I got upset with him about him siding with an atheist about some comments that she was making that were absolute lies. Okay, so without him knowing the full story, him as a Christian siding with the atheist against me as a Muslim because I'm the problem. Okay, well, you don't know the whole story. So nevertheless, they believe that we've been brainwashed. They believe that we've been, there's psychologically there's something wrong with us. No, I believe that our Creator is one. I pray to Him and to Him alone. I don't reject any of the prophets. I believe that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final servant and seal of all prophets. And through that declaration, as a Muslim, I'm stating vicariously that I believe in all of the prophets from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Most of them, we don't even know their names. We don't know, we don't have record of what they did, but we believe that they existed. And the prophets that we are aware of, we fully embrace them as Muslims. We love them as Muslims. Okay, and but we're attacked and villainized and demonized and slandered and labeled simply. We believe that it's important that we only worship our Creator and we don't worship any created thing or any created being. What's wrong with that? Wrap your mind around that for a moment, please, if you're listening, inshallah. If you're a Christian, if you're atheist, whoever you are, what is wrong with a group of people, 1.8 billion Muslims in the world today approximately, worshiping no one other than our Creator? Do you understand this? Do you understand that Allah is the Arabic word for God, just as the word Dios is the Spanish word for God, and Gott is the German word for God? We say Allah in Arabic because it means very uniquely that it's referring to the God, the one and only Creator, alhamdulillah. So what's wrong with that? Still we're labeled and villainized and demonized, but we're playing a victim card somewhere. Okay, all right.
Their issue is because I feel the issue stems from the fact, it goes back to ignorance, but it's also the fact that they don't, I don't know, because it's different, it has to be wrong. Yeah. But in reality, Islam isn't different at all. It's just a continuation of Judaism and Christendom. Yeah. If you really want to break it down, I mean, that's how that, in fact, that was one of the reasons. That was one of the reasons I took Shahada was by reading the Bible, or what we have now today as the Bible.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Brother Lakeith, thank you, brother, for the update. Matter of fact, I need to update my notes on the matter, because he says in 2015 that we had 1.8 billion Muslims in the world. Now we have 2 billion Muslims in the world. Alhamdulillah, I mean, Islam, the fastest growing religion. Hey, look, let's look at what happens. Allah says in the Quran, man plans and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. So, despite someone coming on and burning the Quran yesterday, what's it do? It gives us a platform to actually speak about the matter, and so you're not actually stopping us on any level. Islam is still growing. Islam is still propagating, because you're allowing people. You're giving them the reason to say, wait a minute, let me look into this Islam thing for myself. Some people that are reasonable, they actually stop and do this. The people who don't rely on other sources of information, but instead, I refer to it as being readers instead of repeaters. Those who are willing to engage in actual study and research about Islam will come to find that Islam is beautiful. It's beautiful. And alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. And so, it reminds me on the topic in regards to, them trying to stop Islam on all fronts. It reminds me of Surah Al-Qadr, where, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet Muhammad at a time when he felt a bit of, it was after the death of his son that these verses were revealed. His son died, and the polytheists, the pagans of that time, began to celebrate and were saying he's cut off. He's cut off. Saying that they believed that Islam was going to propagate because of his bloodline, but that's not how Islam works. Okay, so they were actually celebrating when the man lost his son, when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ lost his son. Not only is he enduring the pain of losing his son, which hurt him very deeply, but he's also enduring people actually celebrating in the streets about it. I just lost my son in this past June, right? June 2019. Wa inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. And I still heard about it every day. I still miss my son every day. But I trust the Qadr of Allah. I trust that, Allah knows he belongs to Allah more than he belongs to me. But I couldn't begin to imagine that me missing my son the way that I do, that someone would actually celebrate the death of my son just to cause me pain. But Allah revealed, talking about the river of Qadr in the Quran, saying that you've been promised paradise already, and they're not doing anything but cutting themselves off. Those who are claiming that you're cut off, those who are trying to undermine you, those who are trying to slander you, just like some atheists and a Christian combined to do against me today. You're not doing anything but helping us in the long run. You're cutting yourselves off. You're doing yourself a disservice because Islam is still growing. We're on this platform. We're trying to break down misunderstandings and misconceptions. And alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen, here we are. And once again, before the end of the show, I have something special that I, regarding this Bible. I have something special that we're going to get to eventually rather. Brother Kareem, thank you for coming back in. I see you have maybe you're having some technical issues, but go ahead, brother.
Small. Yes, no. I appreciate the, of course, coming back here because this is a big issue. I hope the internet is stable where I'm at. But the biggest thing that we want to take away at the very least at the end of this show is that we all have to be aware how our speech and how our content affects people. And I would have to argue that the majority of Muslim content on the internet has not translated into what we see. I mean, of course, we're not at the same time denying a small band in the world, in different places, of people who are doing things that we may not agree with. However, there are factions on both sides who have totally lost their mind. Now, the question is, are we going to add to the band that is striving for world peace, for religious tolerance, or are we going to keep fueling the fire? I'm calling on people directly, like Chris Claus, like the one who has Patriot Radio. What's his name? The one who works for this. That's Eric Smith. People like this, to be aware of how their speech actually translates. See, that's a small doorway into a bigger to a bigger conversation. For example, I think that we all, as Muslims, can say that once or twice or many times in our life, we've seen in a face-to-face kind of situation hate towards Islam. I've been called things outside of windows while people are rolling by, people walking by. If you're wearing the wrong garment, they're saying things. And this is in all types of environments, in the urban communities, in the rural communities, all over America. And we are people in America loving to be in the environment in which we can have religious debates and tolerance and love, even though we have different. But the issue is, overwhelming majority of what we see on the news about Islam is causing hate towards Muslims here. And so Muslims statistically, I'm sorry for the camera, Muslims statistically are not only the majority of people who suffer of Islamic extremism around the world, also now we are suffering the brunt of Christian extremism here. So we cannot take this type of assault on both fronts. We call upon our Christian brethren who believe in the Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, and in the goodness that he brought, to stand with us against the likes of that, and to work more diligently to correct our speech and our approach about going towards Islam in a critic's way of going towards Islam. Let's have it in a more loving way, and let's work together upon that.
Right. You know, in saying that, you know, Allah tells us in the Quran to invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and kind words, and argue with them in ways that are best and most gracious. So let's clarify, okay? So when you endure antagonism over and over again on a daily basis, we're human beings, okay? So if we make a mistake as Muslims, it's our mistake. It's something that we have to correct with Allah. Islam is not to blame. As A.K. Manning is trying to blame Islam for words that I spoke to him in anger. Alhamdulillah, I seek Allah's forgiveness for any wrong that I've done. But in saying that, I also have a right as a Muslim to defend myself. Okay, so we have to. There's got to be a balance there. So in saying that, let's make it clear, as he tries to undermine me, but in the process trying to undermine Islam with blanket statements and trying to label Islam as the cause. Kenny Bomer is the cause if Kenny Bomer makes a mistake. Kenny Bomer is the cause if Kenny something that he shouldn't say, or he does something he shouldn't do. Right? I'm the cause. Okay, but it's Islam that gives me the way out. It's Islam that gives me the reminder, the dhikr of Allah, the reminder of Allah, the consciousness of Allah. It reminds me I have to seek forgiveness as soon as possible. We go back to prayer 5 times each and every day. We commit a sin, we say, Astaghfirullah. Allah, please forgive me, have mercy on me. As soon as we recognize the wrongdoing that we've committed. So in the process of all this, you know, Muslims also, we need to know how to respond to these things and be patient, have sabr, be patient. This is jihad, all the antagonism, all of the slander, all the bigotry, all the prejudice, all the Islamophobia that's enacted against Muslims. We have to be patient in the process. That's the jihad. Struggling against our own self. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says that the greater jihad is the struggle within oneself. That if we make the mistake, you know, we have to regulate how we respond to antagonism, how we respond to the hatred and oppression and all those things. People trying to undermine you, people trying to label you. I've had atheists claim that I accepted Islam in a prison that I've never been to. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the truth. I've had people say in the past week, you mentioned his name earlier on Patriot Radio, claiming that I'm a coke fiend. Kenny Bomer, as a matter of fact, I'm so against drug use. Anyone who knows me on a personal level knows how firmly I stand against this because I grew up around it. And I'm not judging anyone who's had drug problems, but I'm telling you right now that Islam is the answer for all of it. So the point that I'm making is that on a personal level, on a level across the board with Muslims all over the world that are being labeled, are being demonized, being villainized. People are trying to undermine Islam. People are not only trying to undermine Islam, but then they begin to attack people that are doing dawah, people that are actually trying to propagate Islam and share Islam, being antagonized over and over and over again. And it's deep-rooted prejudice, it's bigotry, it's xenophobia combined with Islamophobia used to attack Islam. And it's nothing new. So you're not doing anything new, but what you're doing is you're associating yourselves with those who used to attack the prophets before. And so in your attacking us, you're attacking Allah, our creator. You're attacking the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you're on the day of judgment, you will be gathered amongst those whom you used to emulate, those who did the same similar things. So thieves on the day of judgment will be gathered amongst thieves. Murderers will be gathered amongst murderers. Slanderers, adulterers, fornicators, you know, they're all going to be gathered amongst themselves, and they'll begin to dispute with one another. One person will say that it was this person who led me astray. And they said, no, I didn't lead you astray. You made the choice to follow what I was saying on your own. And so what I'm trying to stress, alhamdulillah, and please bear with me for, you know, I'm very passionate about this issue because, you know, when someone tries to undermine, when they try to claim that we're playing a victim card, when they're acting as though when we speak up for ourselves that we're doing some type of a disservice to society for doing nothing more than defending ourselves, defending our religion. We're not trying to force the religion on you. No Muslims are coming to you trying to make you accept Islam. You've been led to believe that that's what's happening. So that's irrational within itself. You think that that's what we're trying to do? How can we do that? How can we do that? Can a coach make someone play on his team when the person that he's trying to make play on his team doesn't even want to play the game at all? Look, how good is the team going to be if you resort to that type of a tactic? It's foolish. It's nonsensical. It makes no sense. So Muslims are not trying to force you to do anything. You can't do such a thing. Okay, and so let that be clear. And as we bring brother Marshall back in, assalamu alaikum, brother. Thank you for coming back to the panel.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. Yeah, I left for a second just to promote the show a little bit. Inshallah.
Sure. And we have brother Frankie Anderson coming on. And make sure you unmute your mic, brother. I'm trying to unmute you, but okay, there you go.
Walaikum assalam wa barakatuh, brothers. Ramadan Mubarak to you all.
Did you see the video of the brother Quran? I said the man burning the Quran in yesterday's show?
Yes, it was unbelievable. I mean, oh Allah, I mean, the arrogance, the arrogance of these people. Whenever, they couldn't actually to provide us info on, whether their religion is correct or not, or, they go ahead and challenge the Quran, and if they fail, they're going to end up doing all this. I mean, okay, these people preach hate. I'm sorry, these people preach love. That's what they claim. But then, instead, that wasn't even preaching love over there. That was preaching hate. So, I mean, yeah. So, like, one of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, one of the greatest companions, he said that, if you're going to be giving da'wah to people, to give da'wah without words, show manners, have manners and etiquettes, that actually helps. I mean, I remember when I was, I remember one brother, he said that this one Catholic lady, she accepted Islam right in front of him because of his manners, actually. I mean, she was homeless and she had her family living in the car. They were all going hungry. And so what this brother did was, he took that sister to a nearby restaurant and bought her and her family some food. And because of his manners and his kindness, she accepted Islam right there.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, because of manners, manners, it plays a huge role. Islam is also about manners. It's not only it's also about prayer and but mainly manners. There's a hadith mentioning that on the day of judgment, that the scale is going to be the heaviest on the day of judgment will be the manners. Having great character.
Yeah, and along those lines, like someone that I was close to, right? I loved this gentleman. Okay. For 3 years, we've been interacting and debating about different topics, and I was telling me how kind I was and all those things. But because I lost my temper one time, now I'm a bad guy, right? And alhamdulillah, but we have to be mindful of that. We have to realize that sometimes we're going to get out of character, and we have to be mindful of that, because that could tarnish. Unless he's just using it as an excuse, which could be, and that's the whole thing. When you are targeted as the quote unquote enemy, right? Or when they recognize that you're a Muslim, now the magnifying glass is on you. Now the microscope is on you. Now they're watching every move that you make, and we as Muslims have to be mindful of that, and we have to follow the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and keep a smile on our face, be patient. And try to engage people in the best of manners. But keep this in mind, people that are not Muslim.
Brother Kenny, did you freeze all of a sudden?
Maybe. Can anyone hear me?
I hear you pretty good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear. Yeah.
Okay, so
why don't we take the discussion really quickly towards the comment section and address some of the things they're saying. Maybe you brothers want to chime in and we can start a discussion about what's being said. So I seen something interesting that maybe you brothers want to mention. Let me go up here. Let's see. Some of the I know someone here is Ibn Maryam. Also, you have the sassy heathen. That's the atheist woman. And let's see what she says. She says, "Does that give you free out to say
okay,
some
as
of the awful things
AK
that
Manning,
you
it's
have said yourself?" So she's totally. But I would also, if she's still watching, if she can come in and at least give us an atheist look on whether she would actually burn the Quran. Is it morally right? Is it helpful in society to do that? Because we may see that even an atheist may be more morally correct than some of the extremists on the Christian side of things. Again, not all Christians. However, we can actually ask an atheist and see whether she would even do such a thing. I
Well,
don't think
brother,
she would.
yeah,
But if
well, brother,
she is also welcome to
well,
come
brother,
in.
what's interesting is sometimes people burn the Quran with their mouth, and they're trying to undermine it, trying to attack it. This particular individual, this is the one that had antagonized me for doing nothing more than promoting the show in a so-called quote unquote debate group on Facebook. And I went in and I made an original post. If you'd like to engage in dialogue, here's a platform in order to do so. For 3 weeks, this woman antagonized me. Okay, and I'm not saying it was because I was a Muslim. I don't really know what the underlying issue was, but all I can presume is that it's because I'm a Muslim. But nevertheless, then she comes on the show. We engage her for 3.5 hours. We treat her decently. Towards the end, just like any other debate type of situation, conversation, people start talking over one another. It gets a little heated and all those things. But we engage her respectfully. Matter of fact, people go to my Facebook page, and not my Facebook page, but the YouTube channel, Kenny Bomer Live. Consider this TV, and go to the video that we're talking about having an atheist woman on the show. We engaged her for 3.5 hours, and we dealt with her peacefully, right? Talking to her. At one point, I'm thinking she's actually listened to us at one point, and then it seemed that she was just simply getting to be unreasonable. Started getting late in the night, and that's what I told her. Hey, looks like you at this point you're just being unreasonable. I don't know if it's just late in the night and you're just sleepy or what, but you're being unreasonable. Okay, so she left, but she goes into the Facebook group the next day, and she starts making by her comments, she's making it sound as though we ganged up on her, we were disrespectful the whole time. I encourage anyone that out there, go and listen to the 3.5 hour video, a portion of that video where she was in that video, and you will see to the contrary. Then she actually made a video where she's supposedly proving me wrong about the issue, but she, in the course of the video, admitted that 95% of the time, or however she termed it, that we treated her decently. Well, she didn't say that in text in the group the next day, and so she was being deceptive. So in the process, I began to defend myself once again, and she still. I sent her the blocker stand on Facebook today, and here she is. She's watching. Maybe she's subscribed to the YouTube channel, but simply because I don't want to get out of character with people. We're human beings. We have limits. I'm not the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I try my best to follow his example and try to live in the obedience of Allah. But I'm a human being. So if Kenny Bomer says something out of line in defense of myself, that's Kenny Bomer doing. That's not Islam. Matter of fact, I've stepped out of the bounds of Islam if I've begun to oppress you in some way. But if I see that someone's a liar and I refer to them as a liar, and I know that you're a liar, then you're a liar, and I have no problem with it. But if I'm wrong for that as a Muslim and calling someone that I know has just lied a liar, okay, well, me and Allah will deal with that. Allah will deal with that justly. But the fact of the matter is now, A.K. Manning and this atheist woman are, they've done joined forces trying to undermine Kenny Bomer. But this is on a personal level. But the antagonism, the constant rhetoric, the constant bantering, the constant attacks. What for? When I'm trying to mind my own business. Alhamdulillah. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. You had to explain that in detail so the people understood the message. My big thing is this: that I'm willing to bet, even though I know that you probably, you know, have no use to bringing her on at this point. But I'm willing to bet that even a logical atheist would know there's no benefit in doing that. So, what would push a Christian, someone who feels that they're above atheism intellectually, what will push him to burning a Quran? What does that serve? Of course, this isn't the example of true Christianity, and that's what we call for. If you're going to be a Christian, at least be a peaceful Christian.
Yeah.
Don't point the finger at other people and then be violent and angry and hateful yourself. No Muslims on this side are burning Bibles. I see you have a Bible behind you and a lighter there, but no Muslims here are burning Bibles. So, what then could be said about the people who claim to follow the Prince of Peace when they're burning Qur'ans? What does that serve?
Yeah, no Muslims are burning Bibles yet. I haven't seen any. And before the end of the show, I have something special planned for this Bible that I've had for a very long time. But we'll get to that eventually. But so, you know, I welcome AK Manning. I welcome Mindy Bomer, AKA the sassy heathen that she calls herself. I don't know why anyone would want to label themselves as a heathen, but nevertheless, she calls herself the sassy heathen. And so, Mindy Bomer, if you'd like to come in, you're welcome to join the panel. Matter of fact, I'm going to issue the link right here. As a matter of fact, for anyone who would like to join the panel and discuss this issue, we would like to get an atheist response. AK Manning, if you'd like to click on the link, you've got it right there. And, you know, we'll proceed from there with the conversation. So, yeah, so Jonathan, what do you think? What do you think? What's going through your mind right now? Are you just, are you relaxed over there?
Well, I'm a guest panelist here. I'm kind of new to a lot of this, so I'm still kind of testing the waters with the other fellow panelists.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know, I want to say this. I mean, you can take it to an extreme example, but no Muslim in my, you know, let me see, 23 years in the deen, no Muslim that studies the Qur'an would ever burn a Bible or Torah or Vedic scripture or anything like that whatsoever, not to mention bombing a mosque or a synagogue or a cloister or a church. It is un-Islamic to engage in such behavior. You know, it's just, you know, like you said, Kenny, and you're absolutely correct. It goes back to a simple case of propaganda. And I hate to say it, but we have a lot of brothers and sisters in Islam that are propagating a lot of this anti-Islamic information unknowingly.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
But it's like, you know, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Yeah, you just made a very good point in regards to the character, the character of Muslims. All right, we're going to make mistakes, but we have to keep in mind that we add to, and this includes me. I'm including myself in this. Matter of fact, I'm speaking for myself first and foremost on the matter. But we add to the Islamophobia when we step out of character, and that's why I personally, I try to remind brothers, and when I bring the quote up, and I've already mentioned it, when I bring the verse up, I'm reminding myself first. I assure you, invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and kind words, and argue with them in ways that are best and most gracious. So that requires sometimes taking a very deep breath and and trying to put things in perspective and realize that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's been attacked far more than we ever will be, far more. Even to this day, 2020, he's being attacked far more than all of us combined. If you gauge all the people throughout the world that are claiming that he's the Antichrist, and that all the slanders that we hear. But in regards to what Brother Jonathan just said, is that we add to it if we don't conduct ourselves in a way that's befitting of us calling ourselves a Muslim. But keep in mind, we're not perfect. We're human beings. We're human beings. And that's not a justification for any of our wrongdoing. But we got to balance the scales. We got to try to, make the good that we do outweigh any negative thing that we've done. So with that being said, Mindy Domer, if I've offended you in some way, I apologize. That's not my intention. My intention is, please pay close attention to this. My intention is to share the truth and the beauty of Islam in every way that I possibly can, as much as I can before I die. I do this all for the day of judgment. I'm not getting I'm not making any money off of this. Okay, I've got a book, but if you want the book, I'll send it to you for free because it's for the day of judgment. I value what my status on the day of judgment much more than I value any money here, any monetary gain or any publicity or anything like that. But so any mistakes that I make, they're mine and mine alone. Go ahead, Brother Kareem. I see you wanting to say something.
Yes. Alhamdulillah, brother. You sealed the case. It's clear. Now, I want to ask you for one small favor before we have to leave here and go to break fast and make salah. Can you, for the last time, show us the video? What happened? What occurred last time? And then let's get on with it. Maybe we can have an after show, but close the show out and show us what you're going to do with that Bible behind you there. I see you have, but show us the clip of one more time for the people that haven't seen someone burning the Quran live. And then let's end it out because I have to go to make salah, but I gotta see what's going to happen before the end of the show.
Okay, brother. Let me get that video ready. And that's a good idea. So we'll get into this video. What is your objection? Bear with me 1 second. So let me set it up because I'd already took it down. But that's a good idea. Yeah, I've got something very special planned for this Bible behind me that I've had for a very long time. And let me bear with me 1 second. Okay, yeah. So. Yeah, we're gonna play this clip one more time for anyone who's been watching. They don't know what the topic of the conversation was about, or why we're talking about this particular topic. So we're gonna go ahead and play that and let people see what transpired yesterday, inshallah, on yesterday's show. And once again, it is on Kenny Bomer Live. Consider this TV on YouTube if you'd like to see it there. Matter of fact, go there and subscribe, like, and share. But I'm gonna go ahead and share this video. Let me set this up just real quick, and we're about 15 or 20 seconds away from it. Okay, so I'm going to remove everyone from the panel just briefly. Okay. All right. Okay, so once again, we're gonna play this video that with this guy burning the Quran live yesterday, and we'll pick it up from there here in a moment.
Oh,
Are y'all still there?
hey.
Alhamdulillah. What did y'all
Yeah.
just see? See, the thing is, people might think that was wasn't planned, but I'm trying to hold y'all in suspense. I'm trying to hold y'all in suspense. Okay, so I'm gonna get into this video. I don't know what y'all just seen or whatnot, but I'm gonna play this video for real this time. Alhamdulillah. So please bear with me 1 second, and we'll get into it. Can y'all hear me clearly right now?
Loud and clear,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, and I've got something special planned right after this video. We're going to talk about something just briefly after the video. We're going to respond to the video once again, but I've got something special planned for this Bible after we watch this guy burning the Quran on the show. So let's go with it. Bear with me 1 second. We're going to make the magic happen, inshallah. So what is your objection, Patron?
Okay, I'm going to explain it as clearly as I can. The way Maududi interprets this passage, what it's saying is this: the people of the book need to accept the messenger if what he says confirms the scripture. If the scripture is lost, as you say it is, right? If the scripture is corrupt, if they don't have it anymore, then they cannot know whether the messenger confirms the scripture. That's the objection. Does it make sense, Kenny?
It makes sense, but I think you're conflating a couple of different issues here. Okay, for one, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the Quran is coming to confirm what Allah originally revealed through the Torah and the Injil. Okay, unfortunately, it has been tampered with. I mean, scholarship proves that it's been tampered with. So,
but that's not what the Quran says.
What the Quran is referring to what was originally given to these people, and that's not including what's been tampered with. So it's obviously the final messenger of our Creator.
Do you see what he's doing?
Totally different.
Can you see what this Christian is doing? Burning the Quran in front of you. He's burning the Quran.
Oh wow! Look, this is
recorded, right?
This is what
this is burning the Quran. Look at that. This is recorded, guys. This is a live recording now. Look, he's burning the Quran.
Right.
So this is your this is your Christian friends doing that. Wow. I didn't say burn a Bible.
Don't change the topic. Don't change the topic. Kenny was making a point. I don't care what you have to say because you're just a rude. You're just a rude windbag. I'd rather listen to Kenny.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. So any final words on that video there?
I think I've seen things in the chat. People are on the edge of their seat. They've seen the video. We've seen it. It's hard to watch, but it's self-explanatory. Many of us have to leave on this side of town because of Ramadan and the likes, but it's hard to watch. We thank you for broadcasting, but we ask, what will you do with that Bible behind you? You have a lighter. I'm not sure what's about to happen here, but I had to stay to see this.
Well, you know, it's just interesting that people, you know, would jump to conclusions about certain things about Muslims and how Muslims react and respond, and all the Islamophobia in the world. This is a cinnamon candle. That's nice. It's beautiful. I love cinnamon candles. I love candles. The aroma of the candles in the house is just wonderful. But yeah, in regards to this guy burning the Quran yesterday, and what would we do as Muslims in regards to the Bible? And you know, this Bible right here, as you see, it's worn on the front. I've had this Bible for a number of years now. It's got a lot of highlights in it. Got a lot of, you know, important things that I document in here. And you know, I can't say that I believe in everything that's in the Bible, because obviously we know that there's some things that have been tampered with and all those things. But I will tell you from a personal experience, there was a time in my life when literally night after night I would sleep with the Bible under my pillow at night. After, you know, obviously I'm reading and studying it, but I was going through a very, very difficult time in my life, and worst nightmare come true. And as a Muslim, I was crying out to Allah, and I was saying, Allah, all I know is that, you know, I trust you in all things. I trust my Creator in all things, and I ask you to guide me to the truth, no matter what the truth is. Guide me to the truth, and show me which direction to go. If I'm wrong about anything that I've done, if I haven't put enough research, if I haven't studied enough, if I haven't put my heart into it enough, please have mercy on me. And at that time in my life, I was going through a very difficult time, and I was literally sleeping with. One night I would sleep with the Bible under my pillow, and the next night I would sleep with the Quran under my pillow. I've got a number of translations of the Quran, got different translations of the Bible, but this is the one that I most often use. And there's things here highlighted from different levels, things that I've researched, things that I know have been omitted, but things that I've benefited from. And as a Muslim, I believe that there's some truth in the Bible, and I believe there's some words of man in the Bible. Scholarship proves that. But as a Muslim, I would never, ever think of burning a Quran. I mean, of burning a Bible. I would never do such a thing, because I fear my Creator on the day of judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned us about, about provoking people and oppressing people for any reason in the Quran. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has set a perfect example for us when he returned to Mecca after years of persecution and being forced out of, the Muslims forced out of their homes, forced into Medina. They come back to Mecca, and they didn't, not one of their oppressors were harmed or anything like that. Matter of fact, they were allowed their religious freedom. Islam mandates and tells the Muslims to allow people their religious freedom. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave instructions regarding how we are to treat people in times of war, and telling people to respect people of other religions, never to kill women or children, don't kill any religious priest or monk, don't destroy any religious building or any buildings for that matter, and no trees, no crops, no animals, giving us the best of guidance. And as a Muslim, my response to this guy burning the Quran is Alhamdulillah. I thank Allah so much for the times that this Bible has actually helped me as a Muslim. Things that I've read, and it's actually touched me. And I stress that I don't believe in everything that's written in here, but I believe there is some good in this Bible. I believe that Allah has guided people to Him through the use of the Bible, and I would never ever think of burning the Bible. So, with that being said, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I do bear witness there's no God other than Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His final servant and the seal of all prophets. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. I do bear witness there's no God other than Allah, and I have found the truth. And when I prayed those prayers to Allah and asking Him to give me guidance, He did guide me to true monotheism. That is why I'm a Muslim. That is why I submit myself in mind, body, and soul 5 times each and every day, and return to my Lord in prayer, return to my Creator in prayer, and ask for forgiveness for anything that I've said wrong against any Christian that's listening, or any atheist that's listening. Ask for forgiveness against anything that I've done wrong against my own self and my own status on the day of judgment. That's the truth and the beauty of Islam. That's why I'm a Muslim. The continuous return to prayer, the continuous remembrance of our Creator. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, makes me so thankful that I accepted Islam at the age of 17, and I'm approaching 33 years being a Muslim, and no, I haven't always been the best of Muslims, but I live and strive today before it's too late. Time's like ice melting away. I do everything that I can on a day out basis. Anyone who lives with me knows, Alhamdulillah, that I'm serious about what I'm trying to do and trying to share Islam with other people. And if I make mistakes along the way, they're my mistakes and my mistakes alone. It has nothing to do with Islam. Islam has taught me better. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So thank you, brothers, for joining the panel. Thank you for everyone who's been watching. I do encourage you to hit subscribe, like, and share on the YouTube channel. Go to Kenny Bomer Live. Consider This TV. Also, the sister channel, Consider This TV. Subscribe to both of those channels. We got some very interesting things coming up. Have some debates coming up. Brother Kareem Ubaidullah is going to be doing some Quran classes, and so you can contact us at info@kennybomer.com. Subscribe to my website, kennybomer.com, and also look for the book Consider Islam: Disproving the Patriots of Propaganda on Amazon or on my website. And I'll leave you once again by saying Ramadan Mubarak for all the Muslims out there. Peace be upon everyone who's listening. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
Wa alaikum assalam.